Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So I was reading this Substack. If you are not signed up for this one, I would highly recommend it. It's called The Hard Fork from Marvin Liu. He's a investor, worked at Yahoo for a long time, has been doing crypto stuff as like angel investor, and generally, it's a really good Substack. Worth looking at, and I thought this one particularly from a couple of days ago was worth sort of highlighting, and he's actually quoting from this guy who I don't know, Josh Buckley, who's in some other, who's investing in Invest Like the Best podcast anyway, and there was a quote that Marvin quotes from him, and it was really interesting about gaming, and I think it also kind of played into why I'm so bullish on blockchain, and why that is. I mean, a big reason for that is I think it's really great for the players. The players start to own stuff in the economy. That's pretty valuable. But I also think, and I think developers will understand this the more they get into it. It's really good for developers as well. And this quote really kind of brought that out to me. So I won't read it all, but this is talking about game companies, and what he said is. Right, how much do game developers understand how much of their business is being driven by their biggest segments, and realizing that you probably don't understand them as well as you think. So game developers, obviously, they sell their games. Certainly if it's free to play mobile, most people don't pay anything. A small number of people pay a lot. And while those game developers spend a lot of time on segmentation, what we call segmentation, which is looking at, where are your big spenders coming from? What age range are they? Where are they coming from? Some geographical region? How are you acquiring them? Are they coming from Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or wherever? So people spend a lot of time on segmentation. But he's saying here, you probably don't understand them as well as you think you do. You think you have a good understanding, but there's so few of these sort of particularly these sort of whale players in free-to-play mobile, but it's very hard to build sort of data around them because there's just not a lot of them. What's interesting for game developers is they are probably underpricing that segment because you don't value the product like they do. So game developers build products, they spend a lot of time, they love their games obviously, but the gamers are much more passionate. These very passionate gamers are more passionate about the game than the developers are because they put in some cases a lot of money into it and they spend all their time doing it and building clans or guilds or whatever it is. And the developer, it's very hard for the developer to kind of cross that divide, and because of that, the developer probably doesn't understand how to build effectively for them because you don't love the product as much as they do, or you don't derive as much value from it. So even though these people are spending tons of money and the developer's getting that, the value is unsymmetrically kind of balanced because the players just love it so much they'll put all the money they can into this. Some of them, and the developers just like, well, I'm getting more money. But after a certain period of time, more money doesn't really help them very much. So he's saying here, you can't build a one-size-fits-all product. You don't want to. You want to have as fewer segments as possible, and each segment wants something different. And this is not about blockchain at all. But I think this bit here is sort of interesting because with blockchain, what happens is for the first time you're allowing your audience to demonstrate to you the full opportunity of how much they love your product. Because particularly around NFTs, if you're doing NFTs and the developer is selling them for whatever, some for $10, some for $100, maybe some for $1,000, maybe some for $100,000. We've seen certain NFTs going for. And obviously you get some idea if people love that or not if they actually sell them in the primary sale. But the thing about blockchain games is you have secondary sales. So once I own an NFT in your game, I'm going to go, if I don't want it anymore, or I think I can get more money for it than I purchased it for, I'm going to sell it on a marketplace. And this is the point at which you see how much does your audience, how much does your community really value these items. And there you're seeing the full extent of that because over time you're seeing, or every day you're seeing pricing mechanics going on there. So if something's on sale for, if someone's sold for 1 ETH, and then the next day someone puts it on sale for 2 ETH, and then the week later it's sold, and then a month later put back on sale for 3 ETH, the developer may not have put that item on a primary sale for 2 ETH or even 3 ETH, and if they had done, they may not have sold it. But because it's been sold for 1 ETH, then for 2 ETH, and the community is building up around it, and then maybe other stuff going on in the game clearly. The community is finding the level. I mean, that asset then may not sell. Someone may put a bid for 1.5 ETH that may be accepted. So the value may not always be going up. But the community is sort of creating at least the financial value, and we assume within that are kind of other types of value, emotional value, entertainment value built around that item. But that's not being valued by the developer in the long term, or even in the medium term, or even in the kind of it's only the developer sort of setting a price and selling it initially. But then the developer now is understanding at least a much better level how passionate the audience is about its product and those specific assets. So some assets may be particularly valuable because they're aesthetically brilliant, and some may not be. Some may be particular brands, sort of brand crossovers that the community really engages with, and some of the other ones may not. But you have now much better information symmetry between the developer and the community, because everyone can see at any point in time what the assets are worth, because you're seeing what the community is paying for them, whether it's going up or down. And I think that really will help developers sort of hone their development strategy. And also, I've always thought this is really great for people who are making much smaller niche games. So I don't think, blockchain games may be massive. You may have 500 people working on a blockchain game in 10 years' time. That may be the case, as is the case now. But I think equally for blockchain games can go much smaller, much niche audiences who are really passionate about it, and in fact who are more passionate about this very niche thing than a general market would be about a sort of a general kind of all-encompassing game. But I think blockchain and this asset pricing will allow developers to get a much better idea, and not be underpricing their work, because obviously they're getting if they set it up correctly, they're getting a percentage of, say, a 5% percentage on every transaction on any NFT that they've created. So if the value goes up, every time an item is bought and sold, they'll get 5% of that. And if the value of that item is going up as well, they're getting 5% of something that's going up as well. And as we've seen with things like CryptoPunks, some of these assets can start literally at zero, be given away for free, and now be selling for millions of dollars. So this is kind of fascinating. I think this is why this kind of smart developers will be thinking about how they can use blockchain to allow them to have better visibility on what their audience is really like. Because at the moment we have quite good visibility on things like mobile. You can kind of see what's going on there, but you can't really understand exactly what the audience wants, because they can't directly tell you in terms of how much they value something with real money. So that's one key thing. I thought it was interesting, and I thought I'd do a video on it. So thanks for listening. This is Blockchain Gaming World, where we think a lot about how blockchain is going to change the world of gaming. Please subscribe to the channel. But thanks for watching, and see you again soon.